Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nathaniel Zebley,
And I'm Jack Coleman.
and today on Fourth and Nine Draw, we're not having podcast. This is just a little news video regarding a certain incident that happened in a Thursday night game. I'm sure everyone has seen it by now, and just a couple other news articles, I guess, that are worth mentioning. So we'll start out with the biggest one. Colin Kaepernick. No, Myles Garrett has been
Good one, bro.
suspended. Thank you. Myles Garrett has been suspended indefinitely after absolutely destroying Mason Rudolph with a helmet. Um, other stuff happened as well. Other players got suspended, and the teams did get a fine of $250,000 each. But that's the biggest news story today. Also, we're going to be covering Colin Kaepernick's I guess workout or trial that's going to be happening on Saturday. Not trial. That was bad. That was a bad word. But
Huh?
a workout. My bad.
Oh, man.
It was reported that now over 24 teams are confirmed to be going to Colin Kaepernick's workout. And finally, Jay Ajayi has been signed to the Philadelphia Eagles. It has been about 13 months since Jay Ajayi has actually played football, so he's finally getting his opportunity once again, on the Eagles. So today, I guess we're going to start it out with the Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garrett getting suspended. Before we actually get into the actual specifics of it, Jack, what is your first impressions?
Well, as someone who watched it live and was incredibly distraught by it all, at first I had a different reaction than I do now, should I say. When it first happened, I was a lot more upset at Myles Garrett. I was really confused, and I'm not going to defend him too hard here, but I was very distraught, and I was wondering why he would do that, because Myles Garrett off the field is one of the kindest players on the team, at least it seems. But then after they showed a couple replays, I made a realization that so it was a clean sack that started this from Myles Garrett. Well, it wasn't a sack; it was a quarterback hit right after the ball was released.
Right.
And I see a lot of people arguing about this, actually saying that, well, why did he have to hit him? There was 8 seconds left, and the game was already over. Well, at that point, don't drop back the pass if you don't want to get hit. You should have called something else, you know?
True.
So, but anyway, so when he brings him down, Mason Rudolph starts twisting and pulling his helmet, like, aggressively, and then appears to kick him in the groin area. That's what a lot of people are saying. It might have just been an accident, to be honest, but it does appear that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then at that point, things get intense. Myles Garrett rips his helmet off with ease, gets pulled back by Steelers O linemen, including Marquise Pouncey, and then after that, an angered Rudolph sprints towards Garrett, and Garrett proceeds to club him in the head with the bottom of his own helmet. So, and then at that point, he's taken down, kicked in the head a couple times by Marquise Pouncey. Rudolph throws his hands in the air, and Larry Ogunjobi pushes him down, and it's just really bad. And
Yeah.
for all this, Myles Garrett suspended indefinitely. Marquise Pouncey got 3 games, and Larry Ogunjobi got 1, and Mason Rudolph got a fine. So a lot
Okay,
of
so
fallout
Mason Rudolph
here.
did get a fine?
Yeah, it was recently reported today that he was fined. It wasn't with the initial report.
Okay.
He later got a fine.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured at the very least, Mason Rudolph had to be fined. Because very clearly, like, in the video, if you watch it back, Mason Rudolph, it sounds childish when you say it like this, but I feel like it still needs to be said. He did start it. By all means, he did start
Well, yeah,
it.
that's
However,
important.
yeah, exactly, it is important. But, the actions that Myles Garrett did are just completely inexcusable. I really did like the post-game interview with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it was nice.
It actually showed really good leadership qualities from Baker. So that's really one good takeaway from this thing.
Yeah, Jarvis and Odell actually had a interview as well afterwards where they said similar things. They said it was just ugly, and along the same line, they weren't really defending Garrett's actions,
Right.
which is a
Yeah.
nice thing.
Yeah, nah, his actions can't be defended whatsoever. Even after the game, uh, he did offer a statement. Trying to find it here. Here we go. He said, "Last night I made a terrible mistake. I lost my cool, and what I did was selfish and unacceptable." He later goes on to say, "I know that we are all responsible for our actions, and I can only prove my true character through my actions moving forward. I want to apologize to Mason Rudolph, my teammates, our entire organization, our fans, and to the NFL. I now have to be accountable. I know I have to be accountable for what happened, learn from my mistake, and I fully intend to do so." So a little bit of self-awareness from him, but I wish he just had that self-awareness and control at the end of the game. It's actually funny. I turned the game off because it was below the 2-minute drill, and I was like, this game's already won for the Browns. Nothing could possibly happen, so I turned it off. And then I get a bunch of texts from you, and then I go on Twitter, and everything is actually falling down. So that was funny.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest stories of the entire year this year, if not I know it's a bit in the moment and overreactionary, and this will probably die down, but at the moment, it feels like the biggest. I've never seen so much mass coverage about something.
I've never seen besides the Colin Kaepernick fiasco, I've never actually seen like a divisive NFL fan base before, because there's a lot of people who are. I feel okay. Actually, everyone is in agreement that that Myles Garrett should have had the suspension that he got. Fined, all of that jazz. But a lot of people are coming to the defense of Mason Rudolph and saying, no, he didn't start it. There's a lot. It's like a he said she said kind of thing on Twitter. So like it's really divisive, but I think everyone, to an extent, kind of realizes that Myles Garrett, even though he didn't start it, he immediately made himself the worst person in this situation based on his actions.
Yeah, well, this is going to have a lot of fallout as well, because the Browns defense is going to do a complete 180, because part of the reason they've been serviceable and pretty average, actually they've been top 10 in pass, is because of Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett forces quarterbacks to throw the ball early, causing the pass coverage to be far better.
Right.
And the run defense was already not great, so this is going to be a big hit. I think this defense is going to go from average to pretty below average for the rest of the season, which could, all but end this already endangered season. And then the Steelers losing Marquise Pouncey for 3 games, which isn't actually as big of a deal to me. I don't think he was playing that well. I'm not sure how their depth is at center, but when I would watch him, he didn't seem like he was playing too well the past couple of games. And the Browns also lose Larry Ogunjobi for 1 game, which isn't the end of the world because of Sheldon Richardson, and it's only 1 game.
Yeah.
But on top of that, actually, I will say, I think Mason Rudolph should have been suspended a game, but I guess 1 game isn't the end of the world, but I think it would have probably been for the best. I also hated how he handled it in his press conference after the game. When he was asked about how the fight happened, he pretended like he didn't really remember and pretty much pretended he didn't have much. He acted like he wasn't to blame at all. He tried to deflect all blame to himself, which I get. He's pissed. I mean, let's be honest here. He's pissed. You can tell by his press conference he called Myles Garrett a coward. He did a lot. He was upset, but at the same time, he called his actions cowardly. But anyway, at the same time, he didn't take any responsibility for himself, which, I guess it's not that big a deal. But I thought it was a little dumb, a little scummy. Here's the thing. If this was Big Ben, now we all know Big Ben doesn't take no for an answer. He's the ultimate competitor. Now, if this was Big Ben, this would be a lot different. This would be a lot different. I think this would be an even bigger story because it would cause even more outrage. I think a lot of deflection was taken off of Myles because, let's be honest, Mason Rudolph isn't good and had his worst game as a pro.
He's not good. But, that's kind of the thing, too. Like, I see people on Twitter or Instagram, stuff. They were like, "Man, imagine if it was Brady getting hit with a helmet and stuff like that. Myles Garrett would be put in an electric chair, stuff like that." While I know to an extent that's more of a jokey kind of look towards it, but it's true. If it was a quarterback that was, for lack of a better term, elite, or like even one of the better quarterbacks in the league, this would be a
Public
crap
outcry would
storm.
definitely be worse.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. It would be.
I don't know if
completely
he'd get a worse sentencing. I guess you could say. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, the
punishment,
thing
I
is, but he's suspended indefinitely, so I don't know how it could be any worse than that. I mean, I read a report. I forget who it was from, but I read a report that the Cleveland police talked to Miles.
Yeah, they were in the locker room after the game.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I don't think anything will come of it. I don't think Mason Rudolph will press charges.
Oh, imagine if he did. I feel like there'd be a lot of outrage if he did press charges.
I wouldn't say outrage. I think he just get clowned on a lot. I think players.
I don't know. Well, I mean outrage in the sense of like, I think there would be a lot of NFL players, probably even on his team, that would. That's. I don't know. I just feel like that's. Oh, this is gonna sound really crappy, but that's not what a leader of a team would do. I feel like if it were like a well-known quarterback, I mean, yeah, they'd be pissed off for a long time, but they wouldn't press any charges.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know if his play. I don't know. Well, I will say this: Steelers players seem to, at least on the offensive side, seem to like Mason Rudolph. You can tell Juju likes him. The O line. I mean, they defended the crap out of him when they
told me that he was good. You know.
Beat the hell. Yeah. Okay. I think they need to put the duck in. But anyway. It's a shame too, because I talked to you about this outside of the podcast, but I want to make sure I say it here.
Yeah.
This completely overshadows Joe Schobert's best game as a pro. It was stellar.
Yeah.
2 interceptions. He was all over the place making tackles. He was fan-freaking-tastic, and it's a shame because no one's talking about it because everyone's talking about Myles Garrett. It is a shame. And a decent game. Actually, I can't... Baker had an okay game, but he was bailed out with a lot of luck and missed a lot of throws to OBJ, as per usual, which was a shame.
Yeah.
That's a topic I guess we'll save for the main show more, but yeah, I just wanted to get that out there.
Right.
But yeah, this will probably develop more because we still don't know how long Myles Garrett is technically suspended for. We can safely assume he will not be back in this season. The question becomes, does this leak into next season? Because I would assume.
I'm going to assume that it does, and if it does though, it's not going to be major. Maybe like 2 or 3 games into next season, but. You know, the people that are saying, this pisses me off. There are people saying, like, he should be kicked out of the league. He should be thrown out. No, shut up, dog. Like, look, you've got somebody like Myles Garrett who has never had an incident since he came into the NFL, or at least an incident like this.
Well, he is known to play pretty hard, pretty violent, but never, crazy like this.
Okay, regardless. You want Myles Garrett out of the league, but on the other hand, you're not complaining about Vontaze Burfict, who clearly, for multiple seasons, has headhunted. I guess that's the term for it. But like the dude has so many like illegal hits under his belt, so many like incidents, fines, and he's still in the league. But yet, for Myles Garrett, you want now. Myles Garrett was still really bad. What he did was really bad.
Yeah, well, it's probably one of the worst things that someone's done. I have to on the football. I mean, recent memory.
It makes me like kind of wonder that it's like, did Mason Rudolph like call him something? Like, did he call him a bad word? Because
I think if he did, Miles would have said something. So I doubt it. A lot of people. I see a lot of speculation on Twitter. A lot of it's just jokes, but a lot of people seriously wonder. I think if that was the case, Miles would have probably said something, but who knows? I mean,
yeah. Well,
anyway, I will say, I think I want to know. I'm curious how this would have gone if this wasn't the Thursday night game or a primetime game in general. What would have happened if this was at 1:00? Do you think the coverage would have been this? Do you think the outcry would have been? I mean, obviously, it would have been a bit less because not everyone's watching it, but I wonder if the punishments would even be as bad because there'd be less pressure in the NFL because not as many people would be into it. It would have been interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know. We can't definitively say that because, yeah, it took place it was a primetime game. But I would say it would still be pretty bad simply because the Browns and the Steelers are still bigger teams, I want to say. Plus, especially because police got involved in the game afterwards when they were both in the locker room. I think it would be. I think it would be. I don't want to say just as big. I think it might be a little bit smaller of an incident, but it would still be huge nonetheless because I mean, there would be video, and then people would just get a hold of it, and I still think, regardless, I think it would have been the talking point of the NFL after this week. Maybe something bad will even happen on Sunday. Who knows? I don't know. If something happens on Sunday, that's gonna be the craziest thing in the NFL.
This story isn't over because, like I said, we don't know how long Myles Garrett will be out. I'm sure there will be extra fines on him. There might even be legal action, which I doubt, but it could happen. So the story is still developing. We'll see how it goes. But I guess that's all I have to say on that. Do you want to move on to Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, let's move on to Colin Kaepernick. There's not much else to really say about the Myles Garrett incident that really hasn't already been said.
Done to death already.
Yeah, exactly. So Colin Kaepernick, as of the recording of this video, it is 1:20 a.m. Eastern time. So Colin Kaepernick today is hosting a workout in Atlanta. Originally, I think only a few teams were actually scheduled to view his workout session. That included workouts, of course, interviews, drills, stuff like that.
Cleveland Browns, one of those teams.
Yeah. So now it's being reported by Adam Schefter a few hours ago that there are now as many as 24 teams that are actually going to be going to see Colin Kaepernick in his workout. And to make the story even interesting, these two teams, I think it was two teams, but these two teams haven't been named yet. But there are two teams that are attending the workout that are very much interested in Colin Kaepernick, and it was also reported that there is a very good chance that we will see Colin Kaepernick signed to an NFL team by the end of the month, which is kind of crazy considering a few months ago, I don't think people were really expecting Colin Kaepernick to come back.
If you asked me a few months ago, I would have told you, no way, it's done, because it's just been so long. I would have told you I don't think it's ever going to happen, but, I mean, this is the real deal.
Yeah, so I agree with that to an extent, but if his workout sucks tomorrow and he's really bad, then no way he's getting signed.
Oh, yeah, it could be over.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think I could tell you what one of those two teams are, for sure. I think I definitely could, and I think it's the Panthers, because the Panthers have a progressive owner, really progressive. They signed Eric Reed. They have a quarterback in Kyle Allen, who I don't think they're too sold on. He's been solid, but not the greatest. They might feel Colin Kaepernick is an upgrade to him. And I just think I think culturally he would work there. Like I said, I think their fan base, their owner for sure, all very progressive. I just think it would be a good fit.
Yeah, I could. So, actually, I kind of agree with the Panthers thing, but I think the Bears are actually going to be one of those teams that are really interested in Kaepernick.
Well, you say that. Here's the thing: they weren't one of the initial teams that were listed, if I remember correctly. Now, I think they definitely should pursue him, and honestly, I would keep 3 quarterbacks on roster because I think Chase Daniels is a great mentor role, and you can't just release Mr. Trubisky. I mean, you could, but you might as well trade him for something in the offseason.
Right.
So I think you keep a third quarter. I think you make him your third quarterback on roster. Probably same with the Panthers because you don't want to waive your third-round draft pick from this year and Will Grier. But at the same time, and you don't want to waive Kyle Allen, who's been solid once again. So they'll probably keep 3 quarterbacks, too, if they were the ones to pull the trigger. And I could honestly also see the Falcons in their own building. This is where it's being held in their stadium. So I could see them picking him up, too, because it would definitely be an upgrade over Matt Schaub. I could see the Lions doing it, too. I mean, heck, it's freaking... What's Jeff Driscoll? He's not good. Not very good. I mean... But yeah, I think there's a solid chance he gets picked up as long as he has a solid pro day or workout or whatever this is. Because, quarterback is and always will be a position of need for half the teams in the NFL at all times.
Right.
Roughly.
Well, I think it's also important to note that, it's been 3 years, something like that. A while.
I think
it's been a long time.
Now.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he has actually played a game. So I think a lot of scouts are going to be keeping that in mind. So while, I feel like to an extent, Colin Kaepernick is going to have a good field day. I don't now when I say good, I mean I don't think he's gonna like if he has an average field day and it's like, he's all right. I don't think that's warranted enough for teams to want to sign him. Because I feel like you have to show flashes, especially in a field day when you're a quarterback who hasn't been in the league for 3 years and is going to have a lot of talk about you getting signed. Because the way that I see it is, again, he hasn't played in 3 years, so it's like if he doesn't have that great of a field day, then it's like, okay, well, dang. Why should we sign him if he only did all right in field day? Because then once he steps on the field, he's probably going to be even below average when he plays. Because having doing one of those what are those pro days or whatever they call it.
It's hard.
It's so much different than actually
as
playing
a
on the field.
quarterback. I don't think it's hard. I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's that hard to have a good pro day because you just throw to wide open receivers as long as you can hit basic passes that any NFL or even college quarterback should be able to make. You'll be fine. That's why when you're a quarterback, I don't put much into the combine when it comes to quarterbacks. I don't think many do outside. I think the interviews are the biggest thing for the quarterbacks. Most scouts, I feel, just look at the tape and worry about the interview. And they are doing interviews with Colin Kaepernick. I would pay a large sum of money to hear the questions that scouts and GMs are asking that man. Because I want to know what they're... I would just love to hear it and his response. It'd be interesting.
I want to know if any of the videos will be released to the public.
Of the interviews? No, those are all going to be private. For sure. No, that would never happen.
That's rough. I would love to see them, just because.
That'd be interesting.
I want to see. I want to see if this guy still has a leadership mentality. That's one of the biggest things.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm about to say, well, this will definitely be a developing story because even if nothing happens and he doesn't get picked up, that's still a story because people are going to be pretty pissed about it, I have to imagine. But we'll
when
see
we
how it
record the
goes.
podcast on Tuesday, I'm sure by then there will be a lot of news out there and stuff of how just the general reception of how his day actually went.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one more thing. It's weird that they're doing this on a Saturday. I feel like it's right when teams are traveling, when everyone's busy getting ready for the games the next day. You'd think they'd do it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well,
maybe not Thursday,
realistically,
Tuesday,
it's not
Wednesday.
the actual it's not actually personnel who will be going to the games. It's scouts that they're going to be sending. It's probably going to be college scouts, stuff like that they actually send.
Well, I'm sure it'll be scouts for the team.
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably going to be people that don't really care. The people that aren't, coaches, stuff like that. They're not going. They're getting ready for a game. They could care less. So they're probably just going to send scouts, get the recording of the footage and stuff like that, and just watch it after game day.
Have to imagine the Falcons GM will be there. I mean, why not?
Oh yeah,
It's their
yeah,
stadium.
yeah.
I mean, I assume they're one of the teams attending. But anyway, well, there's not much else we can do besides speculate at this point. So
Is it their stadium?
yeah, it's the Falcons Stadium. If not,
I know it's in Atlanta, but yeah,
maybe
okay.
it's not. Anyway, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway, whatever. I think lastly we'll talk about Jay Ajayi's story now, which is an interesting one, I think, because Jay Ajayi hasn't played for an NFL team in over a year. He hasn't played any football in over a year, going down with an ACL injury with the Eagles, I think you said 13 months back, and he's gone unsigned since, which was surprising to me. And now he finally finds a home back with the Eagles, which I think is going to be a less impactful signing than a lot of people think. Because
Definitely less impactful than what he had when he was originally signed.
Yeah, well, even assuming
was it a trade or a signing? I think it was a trade, right?
It was a trade to the Dolphins. They got him for a 4th round pick during the Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
But as we've seen this season, especially with players running back specifically, trying to come back from not playing for a while, no matter what their injury is, or what the reason, or not injury, what the reason is, whether it be injury, holdout, whatever, they've all started slow no matter what. Le'Veon Bell has started slow. He's still not really picked it up that much, to be honest, but he's kind of getting there. Melvin Gordon started slow, and he's progressively gotten better every single game. Even Todd Gurley, he didn't really miss time. He played the Super Bowl, which was the last game of the year, but he's coming back from he's still trying to, well, at least I guess not coming back. He's stuck with this, but trying to work with an injury. So I think it'll be a really slow start. Honestly, I don't. If he even gets carries, it'll be very limited. I bet large sums of money it's 3 or less next game, and I think his role will maybe increase. We'll have to see. Now they have a good 3-headed attack though with Sanders, who I like as a receiving back. Jordan Howard, who I really like, is just a bell cow running back, old-fashioned, running hard. Not receiving, he's a bad receiving back, but and then you have J.J. who can do a bit of both.
Yeah. Darren Sproles got injured again. He's out for the rest of the season. So, Jordan Howard is not been cleared yet because of a shoulder injury. So right now, as it's looking, it's just, at least for this next upcoming game against the Patriots, it's looking to be Miles Sanders is going to be spearheading the run game.
I have to assume Miles Sanders will get most of the carries here.
I would assume because Jay Ajayi he hasn't played since last October, right? So like more than a year. He suffered a torn ACL, so he's going to. I think he's for sure going to be limited.
Yeah, and I do like this move. Don't get me wrong, because before it was if Sanders is on the field, they're most likely passing, and if Jordan Howard's on the field, they're most likely running. Now with J.J., you can kind of mix it up, so you don't really know what's going to happen when he's on the field. I like that.
Right, and he already knows the playbook.
Yeah, you have to assume he knows most of the playbook going into this. And he was productive in Philly. He was good for them, so we know it. As long as this ACL injury hasn't really regressed him as a player, as long as he's still at least somewhat like the player he was before he got this injury, we know he'll be good here and productive.
Yeah.
And the running attack for the Eagles has been one of the few things their offense has done well this year.
Right.
As their passing game, and not at the fault of Wentz, has been really bad. Their wide receivers have been some of the worst in the league this year.
And Alshon Jeffrey has also been ruled out. So
he's out. Matt Collins and Nelson Aguilar have been some of the worst receivers in the entire NFL. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has been atrocious as a rookie. Can't catch anything thrown his way. I don't really know. They just signed Jordan Matthews, who we know is a below-average receiver as it is. There's a reason he wasn't signed until now. This is a really bad group here. It's making the Steelers look good, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. That being said, I do think the Eagles can win this because the Patriots' run defense has been not good the past couple weeks, and the Eagles do that very well. So if the Eagles can get out to a lead and just run it down their throat for the whole game, that's how they win this game. But anyway, unless you have anything else to add, I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's just about it. I don't think anything else has really been big within the NFL except for, of course, everything that we talked about tonight. So I want to thank you all for watching this brief little video. I guess it's not that brief. It's just a little under a half hour. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. You can look forward to our new podcast episode that will be uploaded by Wednesday, going over in depth the Browns and Steelers game, as well as all of the Sunday games, the Monday game, and we also have a couple fantasy segments that we're gonna do, and just fun segments, I guess you can expect. So yeah, guys,
I haven't decided on the segment yet for the episode, but
it'll be good. I have faith that it'll be good.
I know it.
But as always, thank you guys for listening. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you can, and if you want to see more content. We are also actually I was going to announce this on the Wednesday episode, the newest episode, but I guess I can just announce it here since we're already
We're doing it right now? We're doing it here?
We're doing it
on the
here.
mini pod?
Yeah, actually, you know what? If you watched our first podcast, you would know that I matched with a goth girl on Tinder. I kind of
Big
want to give an
news.
update to that, and
Big news.
there is no update. She didn't message me back. So we're gonna be moving into the actual news.
Coming up short in a big spot, Goth Girl.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So I would like to announce that officially we will be announcing a brand new podcast already. We're not even 2 episodes in for.
We're
this
expanding the
current one.
brand.
Yeah, we're expanding. We're going to be doing a wrestling podcast. Primarily focused on WWE. Yeah, it is. We're going to be creating a whole new channel for it. We're also going to be creating a website for, I guess, just our overall brand of both channels. And we're going to be looking to expand onto Spotify and the podcast app. So I guess you guys can look forward to that there. But yeah, the wrestling podcast. We're both really big wrestling fans. We're looking to get it started possibly directly after Survivor Series, which is coming up in about a week from this Sunday. So a little over a week, 8 days, I think. I'm going to try and get it uploaded on the Monday right after it, because we're going to try and record the podcast right after Survivor Series happens. So we're going to be going in depth about NXT TakeOver War Games, as well as Survivor Series, because I think this is going to be a really good pay-per-view. I don't want to get too much into wrestling because this is our football podcast. But if there's anyone who's watching who is a big fan of wrestling, be sure to check it out. Anything else you need to add, Jack, before we wrap it up here?
You know, I think that something's going on here.
Oh, yeah?
So, this is a bit more Tinder news for me. Now, I haven't really been using Tinder lately because when I first downloaded Tinder,
Yeah.
I was popping on. No, not the flex. I wasn't even using the super likes. No need. And I was getting matches, but now, it's been dry, like the Sahara.
Ooh.
So,
That is rough.
I think it's time to delete. But maybe we'll have an update on that later.
All right.
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
we'll update that maybe by Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday, I guess, whenever we do this podcast.
Whenever that bad boy is up.
All right. We'll go more in depth on the Tinder quest, whatever. Escapade, whatever.
What does that word mean? All right.
All right.
Thank you all for watching or listening to the 4th and 9 Draw mini pod.
Goodbye.